Hello and welcome back. Another English podcast with Paul. Yes, that's me, the amazing, the handsome, the glorious, the one and only Paul from English Podcast with Paul. Yes, I'm your host. Sit down, make yourself comfortable, get in that chair, turn up the music, turn up the volume and settle down, ready for an interesting, controversial debate, discussion, whatever you want to call it. Just listening to natural native English conversation and probably a bit of fun along the way, a bit of silliness. So, yes, my hair is long and it's down in front of my face. I was getting fed up with it being stuck behind the headphones. Now I've got these posh headphones. I better use them, haven't I? I better use them. Okay, right. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about, yes, as you read in the title, Chat GPT. Okay, so as everybody else does, I use Chat GPT to help me articulate and get some notes ready for this conversation. But as you know, I like to make notes, but this is live, natural conversation. So there's lots of mistakes. There's me scratching my nose. Maybe I'll I don't know, pull a hair out of my eye. I don't know. This is natural, native conversation. And I'm not pre-recording it. I'm not editing it. It's just normal English, British English conversation. All right. So, like I said, Chat GPT. I asked Chat GPT to help me make this so you can see what it's like firsthand and how well it puts across its information for you to use as a consumer, as somebody interacting with it. All right, okay. So hopefully you'll be able to see this as well as I can. And what I'll do is I'll flip backwards and forwards between me and the Chat GPT window. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see the window right now. All right. So look, the first thing it says is, certainly, when describing me, so Chat GPT is talking about itself, in your podcast, you can use the following bullet points. I asked it for bullet points, incorporating studies and statistics to highlight key aspects. Well, I've read through this and it hasn't used any studies. All it's done is done bullet points. So there's no studies or statistics that I'm aware of. I mean, I did quickly read it. All right, so, and this, I put this in at the beginning. Generative pre-training transformers. What does Chat GPT stand for? So, generative pre-trained transformers. Again, that means nothing to me. Who knows what the heck that means? Does it even matter? Right. Commonly known as Chat GPT, yeah. A family of neural network models. All right, okay, I'm aware of neural network models. Basically, computers trying to learn the same as a child might. You know, from very, very basic, starting with blocks and knowledge of understanding to build upon and upon and upon. That's my understanding of it. You may know different. Let me know. Transformer architecture and its key advancement in artificial intelligence powering generative AI applications such as ChatGPT. So what it doesn't really talk about there, and a lot of other people have talked about in YouTube videos, and from my understanding, is that ChatGPT is a real child learning of language. It's all about language and how it's used. We're getting more into it in a moment, but it's more about the language models or the language learning, learning how to put sentences together, how to bring stuff in and use it in context. So very, very clever bit of stuff. We'll talk more about its potential in a moment. I just want to make sure we can see everything on both sides. So, back to me again. Yeah, so there's a lot to get through, and I've put my input in as well, as alongside the Chat GPT responses. So I'll quickly let you see the Chat GPT version of itself. If you bear with me a moment, let me just go back to that other page. So there's the page, right? This is what you get when you type something in, and you can see what I typed in. Please tell me how to best describe you in my podcast using bullet point studies and statistics. That's what I wrote. And then it come back with this. I say it, I don't know whether it's male, female, or non-binary or whatever. So it says, it gives me a few lists, bullet points. All right. And like I said, I've cut and pasted them into a Google Doc. So on the side here, you can start a new chat. And that's a whole different topic. But the exciting thing about Chat GPT is that it understands to connect one question to the next question. So if you say, Chat GPT, what time is the train from London to Scotland? Now, actually, it can't do that right now because it's all its information and data has like a cutoff line, and it was cut off in like either 2019 or 2021. I can't remember exactly. So it's September 2021, I think it is. No new information was put into it from after that. But my point is that if you asked it like for a bus timetable, or if you asked it for something, and then you asked it a follow-up question, it can connect the dots. So, for example, if you asked about history, it would be able to tell you, and then you asked another question about history, it would be able to connect the two topics together in a conversation. And also in the conversation, it's polite and it gives ideas and thoughts, and it does sound a little bit like a human, albeit a very bizarre, odd human. All right, okay, so that's what it looks like. All right, now we go back to the my notes. All right, so like I said, there's a lot to get through, lots of interesting aspects and parts of it, and I'll try not to read it too much because this is unscripted. I've got notes, but it's unscripted. For you as a language learner, it's good to hear natural, native conversation with faults and with pauses and I'm thinking, and some of the silly things that we do as natural natives, like oh no, what was that word? Touch wood. You know, a lot of the things that we do when we're talking that we don't realize that you wouldn't put in a script. You wouldn't say, oh, darn it, what was that blimmin' word? I forgot. It's like this, it's like that, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't say that in a script. But that is normal, natural conversation that you might not learn, or it may be different words in your language. In your country, you may go, oh, no, no. You've got your own way of acting out some frustration when you're trying to memorize something for a conversation. And it's different for every country. All right, so we digress. Let's have a look at this then. All right, like I said, I don't want to try and read it too much verbatim. Now, you may have heard verbatim before. It means exactly. All right. He said this, Your Honor. I'm talking about a judge. I'm pretending in my head now. This is a conversation to the judge. Your Honor, he said this, blah, 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 blah. And that was verbatim. So a solicitor might be saying to the judge the exact words used, meaning that it could be inappropriate or rude language, but he's saying it to the judge for a good reason. So the judge needs to know why he said those words. All right. And verbatim means exactly. So the solicitor is trying not to get in trouble by saying those words to the judge. Okay, we digress. Verbatim. Right, okay. So this is what it says. Chat GPT says this. It says, Chat GPT is powered by OpenAI's GPT 3.5 architecture, representing state-of-the-art language generation technology. Okay. Mentioned the advancements and breakthroughs in natural language processing. Well, yeah, I was talking about that just now. There is now a 4 and a 4 turbo. Ooh, turbo. That sounds exciting when you put the word turbo on it. So we'll get into that in a moment, but there's so much more it can do now. this Chat GPT, very exciting stuff, and only a few small things holding it back at the moment. Only a few things. I think it's really going to disrupt a lot of industries, even like doctors and other professionals like the finance industry. But we'll get onto that in a moment. Right, okay. Vast knowledge base. All right, so yeah, it does have a lot of diverse, extensive data sets. Now, actually, a lot of it came from, well, a good chunk of it came from Twitter. Now, we'll get onto that in a moment, but Twitter and lots of other different types of social media have a real big chunk of language data that the the program Chat GPT used to learn and model how language worked. Now, Elon Musk has cut Chat GPT out of Twitter, or X as if you prefer, because he's going to do his own one. Now, the story, now here we go. Right, I digress a bit now. The story with Chat GPT, okay, is that it was always meant with the intention to be open source for everybody to be able to access. All right. Now, that was one of the main values, and you know, a core aspect of the value was to be open and free to everybody. But the company decided it needed more funding to be able to grow and do more research and do more things, especially for the amount of computers it needs, you know, storage it needs on these servers. It had to grow really big. So there was a few founders, and one of them was Elon Musk. Another one of them was Microsoft. Now, Microsoft, Bill Gates, offered the company £1 billion, 1 billion, yeah, with a B, to have access to this solely. So it's incorporated now to Microsoft and Microsoft Windows. So it's competing against Google, Google searches, and it's now a massively, I don't know, taking a big step forward to try and grab that market share of internet searches, because that's worth a lot of money, and that's got a lot of, I don't know, it's got a lot of authority with it, you know. So Microsoft paid £1 billion to have I don't know, a big market share or percentage of ChatGPT and OpenAI company. So obviously that really upset Elon Musk, especially as a lot of now Elon Musk's Twitter was being used. So Elon Musk is now going to set up his own. I think it's called XAI, something like that. And Chat GPT is progressing along with in bed, as we say, in bed with Bill Gates and Microsoft. So that's kind of the story there. The vast amount of knowledge and database it's got going on. Right, okay, there's a lot of stuff there. All right, let's go back to that, what we're looking at now. Let's quickly switch it over so you can see me again. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still alive. Let's just have a little quick look at my notes again. What else did we say? So yeah, it was talked about. It was updated in 2022. Now I think it might even be with this turbo version. It might even be more up to date than that, because previously, like I said, it was like September 2021, something like that. So yeah, it is updating on a more regular basis. Okay. There's so much to talk about, and trying to compartmentalize and keep it structured. It's yeah, just so much information. Okay, it says adaptability and context understanding. Highlight the model's ability to adapt to different writing styles. Yes, so you can input somebody's preference or your own preferences by giving it lots of information. So you could input your articles or input things you've written, say 3 or 4 of your articles, and say, in my style of writing, please write a 500-word essay about this subject. Or you could actually say somebody that's famous. You could say, please write an essay, I'd use that as an example, in the style of, I don't know, William Shakespeare. and it would write you a whole essay in the style of William Shakespeare, or in the style of anybody else really that you select and put in there. So it is able to use different styles, and you can implement your own preferences so it can understand who you are and become more like you. And it's not just, I think at the moment it's also constricted to so many words. I think it's like 5,000 words or something like that, or a couple of pages. But when you start paying, because now there's a subscription model, once you start paying, it becomes a lot bigger. So you can write so much more. Now, a lot of podcasters are using it. A lot of YouTubers are using it. A lot of people doing copywriting and other types of grammatical things, of books, stories, music. All kind of creative people are now using Chat GPT. You can even use Chat GPT to do coding. So you can code all sorts of things, and then you might need somebody to check some of the errors, but it's kind of like 95% accurate. Not 100%, but 95%, which is pretty good for the, sort of the first generation, and for most of us to be able to use. But I was going to say, you can also use it to give you very well constructed prompts to put into, say, DALL-E or Midjourney, one of these other creative Illustrator packages, programs. And so I've used DALL-E in the past. I bought some tokens and used DALL-E to make some really interesting images for my students whilst we're in a lesson. Quite interesting. And so now you can get ChatGPT to give you the ideal prompts to create the image and I don't know, the image that you've got in your mind. So if you're able to describe it and tell ChatGPT how to put that into prompts, then you can put those prompts into, say, DALL-E or Midjourney, something like that, which is very, very interesting because you get some really crazy, amazing ideas from some superhuman visualization images. It's just mad how amazing it is. Okay, right. Showcase the relevant ChatGPT can coherent, contextualize relevant responses. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, how you could be talking about one subject and then asked it some more questions and it knows you're still talking about the same subject, which is what we were hoping for originally when Siri came out. But then I don't know if it was the update to Siri or whether it was Google. Google were offering a service where you could ring a hairdresser's for example, for an appointment, and the assistant would say, act as if it was you. So yeah, now it really understands from one thing to the next. And then it tells you when it can't. And another good thing, we're talking here now about the limitations and ethical considerations. Some things it'll say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Or I do not have the knowledge base for that. So that's good that it does know its limitations. And it won't do some ethical things. I don't know, maybe like hate speech or things it might consider bullying. So that's interesting that it does have limitations and it stops itself. I do like that a lot. All right, let's pop back to the other image again. All right. Feedback and iteration. So like I said before, so once you've got, let's say, an essay, you could say, well, okay, that's really good, thank you, but could you put in some more quotations? Could you put in, say, I don't know, a little bit more about the Renaissance, or you could ask it to improve and give it some guidance of what you want it to improve on or how. So that's really cool as well. And you can give it feedback, say, yeah, that was really good. And you can just do one little click and it copies it to your clipboard. And then you can put it into, say, a Google Doc or something like that. So that's very helpful. I said about mentioning improvements and updates. Yeah, so like I said, there's now turbo version. There's number 4 and 4 turbo. Future developments, discuss potential developments in language models, blah, 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 blah. Right, so I've written this bit here, okay? Original research innovation field. So I wrote this: YouTube, Wolfram Alpha, etc. So what I mean by that is that you can now, with the paid versions, you can now input the other applications. The other applications you can now put in. So, for example, if you're paying the subscription, you can have 3 different apps at the moment. This was on GPT-4. 3 different apps. So you can connect it to something that knows a lot about YouTube, where it can scour an industry or a topic through YouTube videos and give you a summary of, say, everything about this subject or that subject or something completely different. So that's flipping amazing, right? You can also connect it to, like I say, 3, also Wolfram Alpha. And if you go onto the website, there's a whole list of like 20 or 30 different apps that you can combine it with, all right? So like a plugin or an extension. So you can plug it with Wolfram Alpha. Now, if you don't know what Wolfram Alpha is, it's like a Siri Google for everything mathematical and equation and engineering. So, for example, if you were planning on building a skyscraper, but you weren't sure of the preload weight of the Earth, you could give it some calculations and it would come back with an answer. So Wolfram Alpha is amazing for mathematicians and engineers. So it's a crazy clever bit of kit. So you can connect that with Chat GPT. So for example, you could say, all right, using YouTube and Wolfram Alpha, please give me a business plan of how to make X, Y, and Z. And it'll do all that for you with those connections. So what do we have? Wolfram Alpha, YouTube. I can't remember all of the other different plugins, but some of them were really clever, really good. YouTube, Wolfram Alpha. Oh, there was so many. And now I can't think of one extra one. I think it might have been DALL-E or that other AI generative creative thing. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of them. Right. So that's going back to ChatGPT. So that's what you get. And like I said, you can copy it all. Then there's old conversations you've got on the left there. Okay. So let's just wrap it up here for a moment. It's really hard to get a whole vision and picture of ChatGPT because it's so amazing and it's connected so much with this next generation of 4 and then Turbo. If, for example, you could, I don't know, you could write a whole book with it. You can connect it with so many different other applications. I sat down for a moment and I thought about it. Right, okay, so if you were able to take a doctor's job and make it online, you know, because of the pandemic, we were all interacting online and it's really hard to get to see a blimmin' doctor these days. So if you were able to say, now, I don't know about you, but for a lot of people in our country, if you want to get, say, for example, to know about your body or to I can't remember what it was now. I think for one particular appointment somebody in my family had, they had to go get their blood pressure done so the nurse wouldn't have to interact with them. So we were able to go to the library. And I think there's some other places also, like the pharmacy, the library, and somewhere else you can go, community centres, and get your blood pressure done, you know, on the machine where they wrap it around your arm and then it pumps it out and then it tells you what your upper and lower limits are of your blood pressure. And you can get that printout. And then once you got that, then you go to, I think, like a video call with your doctor or you put the information in and they, along with some other information, can give you some help over the phone and help over the Zoom or something like that. So in the future, if you have a program that can take in all your details and observations like your blood pressure, your height, your weight, the color of your skin, and to get you to do some tests whether you can see this and see that, whether you can hear this and hear that. How is your stomach feeling? What does your stool sample? Stool is another word for poo. How your poo looks, how your urine looks. All right. So you will be able to put all these things in the future into maybe onto the camera or some other way, you know, like connection to a computer some other way. And that all that information could go into a program along with other elements that you think you've got, I don't know, headaches or whatever that can't be quantified. That then would be able to give you back, potentially that could give you back a diagnosis. Now, it's a bit like now where we ring up not 911, we ring up 112. So that's not an emergency, but it's in a medical problem. So you might ring up 112 and say, oh, I feel a bit sick, I feel dizzy, I fell over a couple of times. And they would say on the other end of the phone, if you can't breathe, then ring the ambulance, ring 999, ring 112, ring the ambulance. But you might say, no, it's okay, I'm not dying, I can breathe, I'm not having a heart attack, I'm okay, but I feel a bit dizzy. And on the end of the phone, they go through a script of all the things to go through like a flow chart. Okay, you can breathe, you can speak, you're standing, you're sitting. They go through this flow chart of all the serious issues or illnesses it could be. And then they can refer you to a specialist. They could say, okay, it looks like you're, I don't know, you've had too much of this or too much of that, or you're just exhausted. You need to take a rest and a day off. They can even, like I say, put you across to specialists in a particular area. Anyway, so yeah, the potential is there for Chat GPT to be connected with a doctor and for that job to be almost obsolete. So that's just the doctor. So the doctor, studies for like 7 years, spends 100,000 or more on training and university and things like this. So yeah, that could potentially be a thing of the past. What else? You look at copywriters, website builders, finance accountancy, finance advisors. You could say, well, you know, I take a photo of every single one of my receipts. I pay, say, I don't know, £20 subscription. Tell me what I can apply for, what I can't apply for. Put it all into a form for me and send it to my government on my behalf. I'll just sign the bottom of it, you know, with a thumbprint or something. All that will soon be possible, if not already. So many industries will really be disrupted. Past tense, disrupted. So there's a lot of potential there. Even teachers. Don't get me started. I mean, like Elon Musk is, you know, doing his own school and his own teaching. I spoke about that before. But there's so much potential for this Chat GPT to have a real impact on so many people's lives. It can really make a big difference. It's unfathomable. It's hard to say that one. Okay, let me know what you think. Have you seen Chat GPT? Have you used it? Is it going to be involved with your industry? Are you worried about your job? Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you concerned? Let me know what you think in the comments. Where are we going to go with this conversation? What's the future of Chat GPT? Ooh, we don't know. Scary time? Or is it exciting time? Could be exciting if you're young and open-minded and, you know, interested in technology. But for older people, it can be very, very scary. All right, okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.